Street Childs operated in Afghanistan for over 25 years. We were active throughout the 1996 to 2001 Taliban regime. We've remained active in areas that have been contested or controlled by the Taliban after the transition in 2001, in spite of years of compounded conflict and crisis. As many of us are aware, on the 15th of August 2021, the government of Afghanistan announced a transfer of control to the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan after an offensive that gained ground after the agreement to exit all the foreign troops from Afghanistan. The exit enabled a sudden seismic capture of control that many of us did not expect or anticipate, and an immediate intensification of security concerns across the country. If we just go back to that day that none of us anticipated, we observed very closely throughout the first week of August, one capital after another in the provinces fall to the control of the Taliban. And finally, on the 15th of August, we saw that Kabul's control was transferred to the Taliban as well. Madam Siraj, as a woman, what was it like to witness that takeover and the transition to the Taliban? And what were your immediate concerns from that female perspective?
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be amongst all of you. It was, I should say it was really like a nightmare, really. Because honestly, first of all, from what happened afterwards, I was actually expecting a whole lot worse. I thought that there's going to be a complete collapse, and they're going to start, people running on the streets with their guns and shooting everybody. That's exactly what I thought it was going to happen. But thank God that did not happen. It must have been some kind of a magic that did not happen, because Afghanistan was very ready for something like that. One of the things that I saw the first time when I left my house and I went in my car because I was supposed to go to Serena, what I saw was the number of kids on the streets. I saw so many of them, and that's what I made a comment about. And I said, dear God, with what is happening, the number of these street children, it just tripled. It's like so many of them. And there were quite a lot of them all over the place and asking, and that was just the beginning of it. So it was, in my life, it was amongst the saddest days that I will always remember. And that is breaking my heart because it's the people of this country that actually are suffering, and they are the ones that they're going to be answering to all of this misery with their own lives and with the lives of their kids, and mostly kids. Kids are the ones that they're going to be suffering the most, because they are more vulnerable, they are weaker, they don't have a whole lot of, how shall I say, meat around them to really keep them from the hazards that they are out there, the cold and the lack of proper food and vitamins or whatever, and they're going to be the victims. We are going to lose a hell of a lot of them. I know that. So altogether, Afghanistan is like on the verge of such a disaster that I don't think the world has seen anything like it for a long time. So unfortunately, that's where we are.
Abawi-Jan, as the Street Child lead in Afghanistan, what were your immediate concerns? And what were you doing to ensure that we could continue to stay and serve the most vulnerable children and communities at this time?
As the lead person in Street Child, I'm very proud to say this, but despite the challenges, Street Child never stopped activities. We ensured to continue our programs throughout this time. We are accepted by the communities we work in due to our community-based approach. We have been able to work in very remote areas where no one had previously implemented education programs, and we continue to do so. We have been able to continue our programs in Taliban-controlled areas before the change in government due to our community-led approach and support from local elders. During the Taliban takeover, we ensured that we stay in close contact with community elders and local authorities to ensure safety of our staff and continuation of our programs. And this includes having our primary-aged girls and adolescent girls attending our classes at the moment.
And our team has been absolutely instrumental in ensuring that for the 40,000 children that we were already working with prior to August, not a single child had to miss a single day of school, and that includes all the girl children who are attending our classrooms. This is something we continue to be very proud of, and really something that we reflect on our agility and ability to do as something that we want to be able to grow, because absolutely we know that the needs are only growing. Madam Siraj, as we look forward, what are you seeing as the key priorities for humanitarian organizations like Street Child who are operating in Afghanistan? And how can we safeguard the gains that have been made, especially for girls, while we go forward in extremely challenging operational conditions?
And the best way, really, for me, the way I see it, is to really, which is something that I myself, by myself, I'm doing that, is to continue doing the work as we were doing it, before, as much as possible, and not to quit, and keep on going, keep on improving the programs according to demands of this time, whatever they are, because they're a different time. Although and as far as the street children, that might not be very different, but it still is somewhat. And then to kind of adjusting oneself, to the demands of the times right now, what they are, and to really providing, the help that they need, and especially that security that you mentioned, Ramia, as far as the classroom is concerned. That is really a safe place for these kids, and they have to be in there, they have to be in that environment. And although we know that the question of food and shelter is important, but at the same time, that classroom can give the shelter that these children they really need. It can be, a place for them to come together, and for somebody to actually be able to reach out to them, and for them to be all together in one area, and that area for them to be safe. So I think it's extremely important, and that is something that, if it could be kept alive, and if it could be kept as a program that continues going, it will be extremely beneficial for everybody.
At the start of the year, more than 30% of the country was facing food insecurities, and now 22.8 million people, which is over half the population, are facing imminent starvation. The winter is about to set in Afghanistan, and shortage of food is being compounded by freezing temperatures that are leaving children without warm clothes, without warm classrooms. And as Afghanistan confronts what could be its greatest humanitarian challenge yet, over decades of compounded catastrophes, there's so much more that we need to do as an organization, as an international community, to ramp up our response to these needs. Abawijan, could you talk to us a little bit about what Street Child is doing now to respond to that intensification of needs, and how are we scaling and strengthening the existing activities to be able to serve more and more children in need?
As Street Child, to respond to the emerging needs, first of all, I'll go to our Said al-Shuhada project, which is a very important project for us. We are providing MHPSS and case management support to 4,500 girls and boys who were affected by a bomb blast early this year, and that school was attacked by a bomb blast. More than 100 children lost their lives, and many more were injured. Moving on to this project, we are providing MHPSS and case management support to these children and their families, to the communities. And we're also building a standard resilience building package for these girls. And then this package will be used as a standard package in Afghanistan. Also in Logar, Wardak, Parwan, Kapisa, Panjshir, and Kabo, we are providing IDP families who were displaced due to war with mental health and psychosocial support and case management support, recreational activity support, and to 4,600 individuals, which also includes 1,000 households receiving multi-purpose cash. However, a street child at the moment, looking at the needs which I discussed earlier in my initial talks, food scarcity, water scarcity, and winter itself. We are advocating with different donors for school feeding, winterization kits, wash facilities, food items, and multi-purpose cash for children and their families. These are life-saving support that Afghanistan really needs at the moment. And this is an urgent response that we need to provide. This is what we are planning to do, and we are in the process of providing this response.
If you could tell our community that's joined us on this call today, one concrete action that you'd like to see from them as an international community to support the citizens of Afghanistan, what would that one thing that they could act on be from your perspective?
The one thing that I am asking you, please not to do, and don't do it, is to forget Afghanistan. Don't forget us. Because if you close your eyes and you try not to see really what is going on in this country, you're going to be making a situation that is not the fault of the people of this country. Please understand that. We are all victims. We really are. We are victims of big powers. We are victims of our wrong system of government and corruption. But we are victims. So please don't forget us. Whatever you do, try to help us stay alive. And it really has gotten to that point. You know, we are in such a dire need of help and assistance at this point. We don't want to ask you for, you know, a lot of fancy things. No, not really. At this point, what we really need is, as the whole world knows, with the drought, with the winter coming, with the way the whole situation is, whether there's lack of money and the inflation and the hunger, we need food, we need shelter, we need warmth, and we need clothes in our back.
For £30, you can provide a family of 5, that's a mother and 4 children, with warm clothes, with shoes, with socks, with blankets that they need to be able to stay warm and safe. For £40, you'd be able to provide one of our community classrooms with a heater that will see them through the winter. And for £80, you can provide them with both the heater as well as enough wood or fuel to supply them with warmth for the entire duration of the winter. So £30 for a family, £40 for a heater for a classroom, and £80 would actually see a classroom of 30 children and their teacher through the winter that we're facing imminently. Given the Taliban's seeming indifference to providing meaningful government, is it the case that civil society becomes the responsibility of NGOs? And can we essentially bypass the Taliban in giving the help that is needed? Abawijan, you're very familiar with the work that we do on the ground with the Islamic Emirate to gain access to communities, very much in line with humanitarian principles of independence and neutrality. Could you touch a little bit on whether we can safely continue to support and access communities in need in coordination with or bypassing the Taliban, and what your experience of that has been like so far?
Absolutely. This is a very important question. We could never bypass either of the warring parties when we implemented. At one side, it was the government, at one side, it was the Islamic Emirates, and we had to ensure coordination with both sides to first keep our staff safe, and second, ensure that our staff can go and implement in those areas. At the moment, coordination is very important with the new government to ensure access to every part of the country, but also for the safety of our staff. And as Street Child, keeping in mind neutrality, impartiality, but overall the humanitarian principles, which are the guiding principles for us, we coordinate with the local authorities with the communities and ensure that everybody is involved in our implementation on the ground.
What are the challenges to accessing cash in the country at the moment? So for example, if you need cash for your organization or the work that you're doing, what kind of challenges are you encountering in being able to operate?
The way the banks were doing, or they are still doing after they opened up. Now, for every person that they have money in the bank, they are giving you every day, once a week, 20,000 apps or $200. That's all they will give you. And until you have money. But then of course the problem is that for a lot of the people in the bank that they had some money, they're running out of that money, because in these few weeks they have taken their money every week, and they are not being supplied anymore because there is no salaries or anything. So they're running out of money. So that's one thing. For the NGOs and for the businesses, what they have done from their total money that they have in the bank, they are giving a certain percentage, like 5%, for example, or 6%, depending. They're giving it every week. But in that too, because of the fact that we were kind of behind a month, so it is a game of catching up that we are trying to do. And then there were organizations all over the world that when the whole thing started in Afghanistan very fast, they all went and they gathered money and they gave us and donations. And then those donations were given to us through these people, sarafs, the guys that they are in the free market, that they are staying there and they're getting a certain percentage, and they can give the money as cash to us. So that's how we are getting our money, not through bank,
But in light of these situations, and in light of the fact that that situation is both a professional challenge as well as a very intensely personal challenge for you day in and day out, what gives you hope to keep showing up at work every day and doing what you do for others beyond yourselves, beyond your family and your immediate community, but to really think about the country as a whole and to want to respond to that enormity of need? What gives you that hope and that ability to do that? And I'll start with you, please, Madam Siraj.
I think it's a whole lot of love and respect that I have for the people of this country. Really, deep down, that's exactly what it is. I love the people of Afghanistan. I love my people so much, the men and women, the children, everybody. I understand their pride. I understand their weakness. I understand their strength. It's been such a pleasure, really, when I think of it, to be born into this country, to be born an Afghan. And we have such a beautiful, amazing traits as people. We really do. We are generous. We are hospitable. We are kind. We love our family. We actually love our country. We are very, as people, we are not greedy. We don't want, have the whole world and eat it and put it in our stomach. We don't want that. We are kind of, in that sense, we really are. We are good Muslims. And I love these people with all of my heart, with all my being. And I am 73 years old. The best part of my life is really behind me. And whatever I have from now on, whatever energy I have, whatever possibility I have, and all of the love I have, I want to give it to these people till the day I die. I want to make it as a gift for them. I want to make it as something that they can take with them, as something that they can live with it, and something that I can make a difference in their lives. That is what I really want to do. And I think I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Thank you. About
Echoing what Madam Siraj has said, it's the love we have for our people. The job we are doing, for me personally, it gives me the same feeling as worshiping, and serving people really gives you the same feeling as worshiping. But this question of what gives me hope was always a question in my head too, because when I would leave my house, there was a distant chance of anything could happen to me. And I would always think to myself that why am I still showing up to work? What's motivating me? And the answer came to me 2 weeks ago when our education project manager sent me a picture of children, our girls, in one of our schools in Zabul, and they were smiling. And I had never seen such a smile on a child's face before. And when I looked at that picture gave me hope. And for that smile, I would turn up to work every day to serve these children and make sure that we can be there for them.
Thank you so much, both. I've had the incredible privilege of traveling to Afghanistan multiple times to work with our absolutely amazing team there. And every time I've been in the country, I've thought, why is it that these people feel like they're my own? And I feel like if we all felt that way, then the world would be a much more peaceful place. I think as an international community, as fellow humans, we have an incredible responsibility to support Afghanistan at this point. I'd like to thank everyone again who's turned up on this call to support us, to hear our colleagues, to hear their incredible stories of strength and of resilience, but also to hear their calls for support. And thank you very much already for all that you do for us as supporters to allow us to continue serving children. And thank you for what I know you will do going forward. We are immensely grateful to have the opportunity to continue to support children in these challenging times. Thank you again to both of our wonderful panelists, and particularly Madam Siraj. We are so privileged to have you join us today and to hear the very powerful words that you've shared. And of course, Abawi Jan, thank you for turning up every single day and for all that you do together with our team in Afghanistan.